Hello, everybody, and welcome. So, the midterm elections are tomorrow. Um, Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, I'll be live streaming during the midterms if you want to watch with me, get my takes on everything that's happening at that time. Um, so, I am doing Senate, governors, and House in this. This is the first time I'm doing all three in one video. But I just wanted to bundle it all in a nice little ball for everybody um, the day before the midterms. So as you can see, I'm all the states that I found were likely that did not flip categories. I filled in from my last predictions. So in any event, let's get started. Also, I'm going to try to breeze through because I don't have a ton of time. So I'm only going to talk about the closest of close races. Um, Starting off, we have leaning Republican, Tennessee. If the Democrats take the Senate, it will be through Tennessee. However, I still think Tennessee will be going for the Republican Party. Next, we have the leaning Democratic states as of right now. Montana is still a leaning Democratic state. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to touch Delaware. Sorry about that. New Jersey is still leaning. I know Bob Menendez is not the most popular guy on the planet, but he's a Democrat in the state of New Jersey, and I find it hard pressed that he's going to lose tomorrow. State of Florida, Bill Nelson's lead actually grew today to 3.2 was the average, um, which in some polls is within the margin of error, others it's not. So I think at the end of the night, Bill Nelson will keep the seat in a closely contested race. Um, Now we have four states left. Um, these four states, I believe, will be the closest tomorrow night during the election. Florida is also another candidate. Like the closest five would be these four and the state of Florida. Um, but yeah, so basically, let's start off with tilting Democratic. State of Indiana. Joe Donnelly is in a very close race with Mike Braun right now. I will say this: Indiana closes pretty early. You will be able. That is very much that race is very much a way to tell who is going to be correct. Some people are calling for a blue wave. Some people are saying that the Republicans will keep most of their things, retain the House, and even gain in the Senate. So the state of Indiana Senate race is a bellwether. If Mike Braun wins, it's going to be a long night for Democrats, by my estimation. Um, Also, this is a flip from leaning Republican. State of Nevada, right now, Dean Heller is not doing as well as he once was. Um, he still may win. It's still within the margin of error. However, since the recent rallies in the state of Nevada, Jackie Rosen has bumped back up again. For most of the season, I was calling Nevada blue, Nevada blue. It looks like it may end up panning out for the Democrats more than I said about a week ago they would. Um, and finally, we have the state of Missouri. Um, Missouri was leaning Republican in my last prediction. I realize that's an overestimate. Um, Claire McCaskill, she can hang on. She's not like Heidi Heitkamp, who's absolutely dead in the state of North Dakota. Um, she's down by a couple percent, still within the margin of error, but pushing it a little bit. Ultimately, I think it'll be a very close race in the state of Missouri, which is surprising for how deep red it is. But in the end, the Republicans will win Missouri Senate race. And Arizona is a flip from tilting Democratic. I believe Martha McSally will beat Kristen Sinema by a razor-thin margin. It wouldn't surprise me if the state of Arizona goes into a recount. Um, that's how all super close this is going to be. But at the end of the night, I think Martha McSally will pull one out and keep Jeff Flake's seat. So at the map, 52 Republicans, 48 Democrats is my final prediction. Missouri and Arizona go Missouri, Arizona. Missouri goes full red. North Dakota goes full red. Nevada goes full blue. Now let's go over to the governor's predictions. I have to adjust my screen a little bit so that we get the full prediction in here. I'm going to blitz through this real quick. I forgot to fill in Arizona for safe Republican in this scenario. Let's take a look, shall we? Leaning Democrat. State of Colorado. Right now, their current governor is retiring, which from term limits, and ultimately, I think his replacement, Hickenlooper's replacement, will be Democratic. Also, I will put that Oregon is likely blue. It considering is a deep blue state. I know some deep blue states are not even going blue. However, I think Oregon is an exception in this case. Continuing with the leaning Democratic, we have Rhode Island and Connecticut. Connecticut is closer than Rhode Island, but ultimately I think they will stick with their Democratic incumbents. I believe they're incumbents. I could be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. Let's see what else. Maine is expected to go to the Democratic Party. Iowa is expected to go to the Democratic Party. Gilliam is expected to win in the state of Florida. And Ohio is a change from tilting Democratic to leaning Democratic. John Kasich's replacement, by my estimations, will be a Democrat. Leaning Republican, not too many. Laxalt is still, I'm actually going to wait to call state of Nevada because it is razor thin. State of Kansas, state of South Dakota, both of those are deep red states. I'm kind of surprised that they are contested. Illinois should be leaning Democratic, my bad. Those are deep red states. I'm surprised they're leaning. Governor's races are really weird. Can I say that? You have a Republican who's likely in the state of Maryland, and then in the state of yeah, a Republican likely in the state of Maryland, and then you have Republicans in the red wall that might lose, which is very interesting to me. Also, we have that's all. There are 3 of them left. State of Nevada is still tilting red. Laxalt is a lot closer. His lead is shrinking coming before Election Day. However, I think they will stick with their incumbent. Laxalt is the only, I believe it was the only Republican incumbent. No, I take that back. That's for the Senate. Dean Heller is the only Republican incumbent that is in a state that Hillary Clinton won. But regardless, we are on the governor's predictions. The state of Georgia, I believe, ultimately will go to the Republican in this case. Stacey Abrams, with the recent voter purges, will ultimately be hurt by this, even though the current Secretary of State, whose name is I'm forgetting his name right now. He's been purging voters. Most of them are minorities, and minorities usually vote for Democrats, especially African American Democrats. So I think ultimately that could very well have swayed it for the Republican Party. Sorry, Brian Kemp is his name. I just found that out. Um, and in Wisconsin, Scott Walker will not defeat his Democratic challenger in the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the Rust Belt state that went for Donald Trump the most. Um, Scott Walker has been in a very, very tight race. However, whenever it comes down to it, Scott Walker wasn't in a good position to start out with. Being in a state that's starting to turn away from the president, um, it's not very favorable for him. He could still pull it out. This goes for all my predictions. Any tilting states or elections could go either way. Even leaning, you could make the case for some of them, but tilting especially could flip. And finally, we have the House. The House, I believe, will go to the Democrats by the margin of 228 to 207. If I can get this to steady. Okay. There are a few specific races I want to go in and take a look at. First off, let's go for the Republicans. State of Ohio. If you remember in the summer, there was a election. It was Troy Balderson versus O'Connor. Troy Balderson is facing O'Connor again, this time to get the full 2-year term. Mr. Balderson is doing pretty well in the polls. It is close, kind of. However, at the end of the night, I think they will stick with him for at least one full term. Which I guess honestly shouldn't be too saddening for the Democrats, because after they lost the first time, I don't know why you'd run the same candidate a second time, but I'm not going to question it. The next race we have to look at is in the state of Pennsylvania. Real quick, Keith Rothfuss versus Connor Lamb is very big in my area. I do live in the 17th district. The consensus right now is Keith Rothfuss is not going to win. The other one is Brian Fitzpatrick in PA1 is retiring. He's not running for re-election, and it is very likely that, well, I find it likely that his seat, if you look where it is Philadelphia, all around here, Philly, and then up here, I believe the whole eastern border, I guess, of the state of Pennsylvania will end up being blue. Let's take a look here at the next state I want to take a look at. State of New Jersey. Christopher Smith in the 4th District is a long time incumbent. He will stay in. However, I think Tom MacArthur in New Jersey 3, the pro rating is leaning Democrat. However, I believe at the end of the night, Tom MacArthur will retain his seat in a mostly blue state. And if that happens, I will be very interested in how the rest of the night would shake out. And finally, let's go up to where every list should end, the state of New York. Claudia Tenney and John Faso are both Republican incumbents in a state that is turning more and more blue and against the president, so I believe that they will lose. So thanks for watching this complete wrap-up of midterms. Please go out and vote if you can. Comment down below what you think. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am doing a live stream during the coverage, and I am also join us at the subreddit. So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you all soon.